ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So it's been a while since I've done an update on the 187 gallon system. So as you can see, things are still going very well. Just chock full of corals, and there's a few colonies in here that just grow really aggressively. The Cali Tort is a colony that I really fragged heavily, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and just got a ton of big chunky frags out of that colony. And geez, I don't know, in another couple of weeks might have to get in there again and start hacking away at that colony. It's just it's a really aggressive colony, and it's, you know, it's shaded out a couple of corals, so that's why I really wanted to go in there and frag it. So this Ore Red Planet, which really had been dormant for a long time because it had been getting covered by the Cali Tort and a couple other the corals, is now starting to sprout some branches. It's always been very encrusted. I love this coral, and now it's starting to sprout a couple of branches. I did frag it in a couple of spots, so perhaps that has spurred on some of the branches to grow out. But so that's doing really well. The ORA Hawkins underneath the Cali Tort, I've got two main colonies in this tank of the Hawkins. I love that coral. It's a very colorful coral. It's bottle brush coral, beautiful aqua blue. And you know, again, I did some heavy fragging of that coral. You know, where it's being shaded out, it's you know, losing it's kind of bleaching out a little bit at the base, but wherever it's getting hit by the light, it's doing really well. So it's been a pretty hardy coral for me. I can go in there, pull it out, frag it heavily, put it back, and it does pretty well. The Tyree Icefire Echinata, one of my favorite corals in this tank. I haven't fragged this one in a while, just kind of letting it grow out. But it's, I don't know, it's an old school coral. I love it. It's a stunner. And yeah, a lot of folks always ask me about it. So it's great coral. This Tyree Blue Matrix, I'm also letting this coral grow out. It had really been shaded pretty well by the Tyree Red Dragon right next to it. So I've done a lot of fragging on that Red Dragon to open up space for the Blue Matrix. And now I'm getting a lot of branches sprouting out on that coral, so that's really cool. There's also a upscales microcladus coral right next to the Blue Matrix that's actually underneath the Sexy Corals Orange Passion coral. And I did take a nice size frag of that upscales microcladus coral and put it on a disc in my frag tank, so that's kind of growing out. But I don't know, I want to be able to allow the colony inside the display tank here to grow out a little bit better, so I might have to be creative in terms of some pruning around that coral. The Oregon Blue Tort, my favorite coral in this tank. It's really doing very well. It's growing a lot. I did a lot of fragging on that coral. There's a Tyree Purple Monster that's right next to it. I tried to take a couple of frags from that Tyree Purple Monster. I did take a couple of frags from the Tyree Purple Monster, and I was pruning back the Oregon Blue Tort around that coral, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to save what's in the display tank because the Oregon Blue Tort has just been too aggressive. But I am growing it out in my frag tank, and you know, I hopefully I will have a couple of more frags of that. Well, not hopefully. I think I will have a couple of frags of the Tyree Purple Monster within the next 6 to 12 months. Really super rare, cool, old school coral, and probably my second favorite behind the Oregon Blue Tort. The Tub Stiletto Montipora is a very aggressive coral in my tank. I'm constantly pruning that coral back, but I just love it. It's awesome. It's got these green polyps, purple base. You just can't beat it. This Battle Corals Poor Man's Battle Stag. it's a neat coral. It's a purple coral, and as you can see, there's some branches that really have sprouted out, and that's where I fragged it several months ago. So those spots where I fragged that coral has sprouted out some really cool purple branches. Other than that, things are really going well. Oh, one other coral I wanted to mention, this Cop's Brite pink table. That one was pretty much left for dead. I mean, that was totally covered again by this tire red dragon right next to it, and it was not getting any light at all. So I just opened some space up. I fragged the tire red dragon heavily, and now the Cop's pink table is growing, and it's a I just love tables. It's a beautiful coral, so I'm really psyched that is getting a second life in this tank. But it's a challenge in terms of all the corals that I have growing in here. I've got a little cyano in this tank, and you know, I try to keep the nutrients down. My nitrates are probably like around 2.5 to 5 parts per million. Phosphates are you know, pretty low at 0.02 to 0.03 in that range. But I still get cyano, and I think a lot of it has to do with all the growth in this tank and the lack of circulation, even though I do have 3 NP40s in this tank. So I'm gonna do another video in a little bit in terms of what I might possibly do to create some more space in this tank and open it up, because you know, if you let a tank grow in too much, it's going to choke everything out, and that's not a good thing. But you know, heck, it's a great problem to have, I would say, in terms of having too much corals in the tank. My zoanthids, which has gone nuts, I had to do some heavy fragging on the zoanthids. The goniopora are just doing fantastic. So everything is really hunky-dory in the 187-gallon tank. So that's a quick update. Well, that will do it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I also want to remind you about my premium SPS frag store on reefbum.com. I will leave a link in the video description below. I'll also leave links for my equipment store. I do sell GHL, Royal Exclusiv, Pax Bellum, and Reef Brite equipment, plus IceCap and Maxspect Gyres, as well as Reef, Octopus, calcium, and Kalk reactors. Many of these products I do use personally on my tanks. Until next time, be safe and be well. Later.